Well, welcome back to the New Vegan World Summit 2022. As you know, I'm Donna Zeigfinger, and I am one of the organizers of this summit. I want to welcome everyone, and we are so happy that you're joining this session today. I am introducing Frances Gonzalez. She is from Vegan Wines, and she's going to be talking about some of the places she's gone to and the wineries that she's gone to around the world. And it's going to be really interesting. Just before we start, I want to give a little bit of housekeeping. Feel free to ask questions in the live chat and add comments. And the replays will be available within 24 hours of the talk ending, and they'll be available until the 5th of February. And Frances has generously given a prize that people will win after this event ends, and you'll be notified within a couple days afterwards. So I want to just get started real quickly on how I met Frances. As you guys know, I'm the owner of Green Earth Travel, and I have owned this company for a gazillion years. So in 2018, actually 2017, Hurricane Maria hit and devastated Puerto Rico, as you all know or may not know. It really did a number on it. And I just got to thinking I really wanted to go down there and see how Puerto Rico was doing. And I found that there was a Puerto Rico Veg Fest. And I contacted them and told them I'd like to come down there and maybe even table down there. And not only that, but they asked me, I believe they asked me if I could speak down there. So I was like, sure, I need to do that. And so I had been talking to Frances Gonzalez. I hadn't met her yet. And I flew down there, and she was so gracious. She picked me up from the airport. She showed me all around the area in the Rincon area. And I did my talk there. I had a table there. I fell in love with Puerto Rico again. I've been there before. And I just love Frances. She is amazing at what she does. She knows her wines. And I just want to share her with you. So with that, I will give you Frances Gonzalez.
Hello, my name is Frances Gonzalez. I'm the founder and owner of Vegan Wines. I would love to share some of my experiences and during my travels around the world while researching for my business, Vegan Wines. It is actually because of my trip to France that Vegan Wines happened to be born. It is there that I discovered everything about what makes a wine vegan. So for the trip, it was my first trip to France, and it was for my birthday. So I just wanted to make sure everything was perfect. So we booked our accommodations at Chateau Smith Hot à Levette, and it was love at first sight. As you can see, even the welcome was perfect, and even if they misspelled my last name, it's fine, because it was just the gesture. And it's a beautiful hotel. I mean, it's a 5-star hotel. It's surrounded by vines, and it's next to chateau, and it's a beautiful hotel that has vegan food and wines. I had called them, and when I booked the reservation, I talked to concierge, and then when I checked in, I talked to them again, and then when they made the reservations at their restaurants, I talked to them again. So I covered every angle, and oh my gosh, they did that and so much more. So we did a wine tasting tour to taste their wine collection and to tour of their cellar. And I found, everything was beautiful, the whole history of it. And I found it very fascinating that they make their own barrels. So they took us to this room and they showed us how they're making it. And we're in the middle of making it. So I thought that was kind of cool. That was different, you know. It was an experience. It's once again, it's one of the best hotels I've ever visited. And they have a trail also that is called the Forest of the Senses, a land art trail. So if you are interested in staying there, I suggest you really ask them about that. It's very beautiful and it's great for friends and family. So the bar is beautiful. I mean, this was in 2017, so you know the photo didn't come out. Imagine now with the cameras on the photos and the cameras on the phones. It was like one of those magazine spreads. And after Eric and I would come from dinner or whatever outing we had, we always every night did a nightcap here. Had a nightcap here before heading back to our room. It was just very nice. And once again, it was 2017 and it was my first trip to France. And one thing everyone kept on telling me was that you will never find vegan food in France. And I had, you know, stubborn me, I had to prove them wrong. But I mean, you can tell by the photos that I'm about to share with you that not only is there vegan options, but this is like 7-course meals like every night while we were there. It was absolutely amazing. The presentation and just sometimes I told Eric, it's like, I don't even want to touch it. It's so beautiful. But then, you know, the hunger in me took over. And the colors, I mean, the colors are this beautiful. And it even matches my shirt. You know, I love colors. So that's always something that I love to see in food. And the uniqueness, oh, sorry about that. The uniqueness of it, it's, you know, a 5-star hotel, and the restaurants are also well known, reviewed, and the presentation and just the way it tasted as well. It was just beautiful. Every time I was so excited. Like after I put my makeup on and have my hair done and go down, and I'm like, come on, let's go. We gotta go, because I was so excited of what is it that they're going. Because we never during our trip that stay in that hotel, we didn't look at the menu. We will always leave it up to their hands. So this is what happened. I mean, the flavors, the presentation, the colors, everything from you know, earthy to sweet, everything was just so delicious. And once again, you know, I would call and made sure at first I was like, oh, just to be sure that, you know, because you know, they rotated the chefs just to make sure. But by day 3, I was like, I left it all in their hands, and just like every chef on staff was amazing. And you know, it's Bordeaux Saint Aignan, and it's that would always be that little charming town is always going to be in my heart. It's a small town, and it's just so full of life. The sunsets are beautiful. The streets, the charming, just everything about it. It was just very romantic for our trip. And the this is the home to the upper left-hand corner of the chateau of the vineyard, of where our first partnership with the winemaker to import to the United States. And we got to stay in the hotel in the chateau, and it was an amazing experience. And then just walking around town, the church, the bridge, you know, it's never a dull picture moment. And also the cellar, we were there when they were bottling our wine. So it was very exciting to see that as well. This is another another wine that we import from Bordeaux, and it's smaller, but it's just as bold and beautiful flavors for the wine, and just a trip there and just to meet with them. Everything is was always so beautiful. Always, if you are in the area and would like wine tasting tours, they're always available for that with reservations, of course. And then the Paris vegan restaurant that we found was amazing. Like, this restaurant was like that cafe with the, it's just one of those things you saw in a movie, just vegan style. I love their dishes as well. And it was always food like eggplant dishes made into eggplant made into lasagna. It was really amazing. Potatoes filled with mushrooms with their flavoring. Um, Always very filling, very romantic. And we found also in Bordeaux um, a Wild Node, which is all vegan burgers. So they just have this menu of vegan burger this, with that, with this. I mean, I wish I could taste them all, but we were only there for 6 days. And the mac and cheese is really good too. Okay, so now off to Italy. And Italy, it was every day was perfect weather. Our first stop was Tuscany, and Eric and I always tried to, although it was all work, but I mean, can't blame me for loving work, right? So it was always, we threw in our little romance in there as well. And again, the history, will definitely, the charm, the people, everything, it will definitely, it's memorable for sure. Um, so it's definitely a wine story. And the views, the mountains. It's like sometimes I'll be like, I'll open up the window and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like just a picture right there, artwork. It was beautiful. I mean, you can tell by the photo. Um, and when you went into a vineyard, it's like a big grand opening, it's like the the gates open and the beauty just continues. So it's definitely great wines backed up by a beautiful vineyards. And again, the views of when you just open up your windows. I mean, the landscapes are just amazingly beautiful. You can just never get tired of the views. And it seemed like no matter where I stood to take a photo or what I took a photo it was always the perfect picture. We rented a car, of course, and we would be like, stop here, stop there. It was, we would stop and walk or stop to take photos or stop to look for little hidden gems uh, of winemaking. And it was my first time seeing a peacock in person. And it was very interesting. And even though we made some distant friends, so it was all beautiful. Um, so I really love that moment. And so here, Siena, a city in central Italy's Tuscany region, is all medieval. I mean, medieval times. That central plaza there was like so interesting, Gothic and very old. A lot of history. We did a lot of exploring there. It was a long day. It was we By the time we got back to the hotel, we were like, oh my gosh, so tired. Definitely a lot of sightseeing there for sure. Um, and I doubled that one. Sorry. We also found vegan dessert, uh, which we just stumbled upon. So that's the beauty about walking around town. You just never know. I mean, this is a place where I would just like fast for a week and then go run right over here and just try everything. It was all so delicious. And when we went, we did go to Rome, of course, not for wine searching, but just like like I said, we want to put some romance into um, our work trips, so some time for ourselves. And we heard about this restaurant, and we kept hearing how they rescue cats, and we were like, I made sure that we put that on our agenda. um, we love the whole setup right there with the arch, and wait till you see how cute the cats look. So we went there for lunch. Haven't tried it for dinner, but the lunch was very lunch, typical. It was very nice. um, it's so beautiful there. The cats are like, they were so used to humans, like being kind to them, and just spoiling them. They were like in their own little world. And that's um, the Rome Meow Cat Bistro. I get a little tongue twisted on that one, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just the whole atmosphere that matters. And then the whole setup with the lunch was great as well. We just, had my coffee. Eric had his espresso. We had our little our sandwiches there. It was nice. Um, so now off to Chile. I'm going to take a sip of my wine here, which is from Italy. So should have done it while we were still in Italy. Mm, beautiful, beautiful rosé from Umbria in Italy. So our trip to Chile was really just to cover as many, because it's a long flight, and we wanted to cover as many vineyards as possible in 5 days. So we didn't do a lot of sightseeing, but nevertheless, Chile is beautiful, and the weather. We left New York when it was winter, so our winter is their summer. So we were like, we were just loving the weather. And the hotel, when we arrived, again, we called in advance. And actually, this one particularly was put together, organized by one of the winemakers. So we were very impressed by the food and charming little restaurant. I mean, in a charming hotel. So then we headed off to the vineyards, and like I said, lots of vineyards. So I will just share with you photos of just what they would look like. Like in Chile, a lot of the vineyards that we visited, they're old vineyards. So, and they don't tend to them like a lot. Like if you see some vineyards, which I actually love, because the more you let them be more nature wise, and with nature, the whole better, the whole, that's a whole different story. But I just love to see old vineyards and for nature just to take over. I mean, they do keep up with them, but not to make them look like picture perfect. And we actually went to this vineyard while they were picking grapes. This wasn't the one that we were working with. This was another one that also gets their grapes from this vineyard. So that was really interesting. And as you can see, the grapes are beautiful. And this, we did take 2 nights for ourselves, and we stayed at this little boutique hotel. And Bichulemu is beautiful. Oh my gosh. And this hotel is amazing. So here is the layout, and our room is just like all the other rooms that you see there. That's was so beautiful, and I love seeing the cactus. I mean, it is pretty dry and chilly, and you can see the setup where each room has its own balcony. and you just have the view of the ocean. It's amazing. Eric was really enjoying his view there, and it has strong surfs in the beaches here, which I found very fascinating. As in Puerto Rico, that's where I'm always at too. It's a surfing town for the strong surf beaches. So just to see the difference in them, but still with the same concept, was very, very interested and so beautiful. Definitely a must see. By the time we finished visiting all the vineyards on that particular day, uh, it was like 7 p.m. and it's a small town, so it's a quiet small town. So the gentleman that we were with, the winemaker, and he was like, I was kind of nervous that there wasn't going to be anything open that had vegan options, and but he found a pizza store that the pizza restaurant that had the one of the most amazing vegan pizzas I've ever tasted. Oh my gosh, it was so delicious. And more vineyards. I just love the way this one was more kept up, and this one was more for us to keep learning. So we don't uh, get work with any of the people that are in this one, but nevertheless, it's a beautiful. And this is me showing off all the. It's like when you go for get a little lot thing for what house are you, what property you're going to buy. You have the map. I felt like the same way, and so I found that interesting. And the views. I mean, just the views and the grapes. Look at those grapes. It just this is a different vineyard now. It's so beautiful. Okay, so every time that we do our trips, well, until the last 2 years, we will always stop at Iceland because Eric has family there. So Iceland is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. It reminds me of Puerto Rico, but in different climate. But just the small island and the way of living. Um, Puerto Rico was the same, years ago that things were hard to get into, and the same with Iceland. So there's a lot of things that are similar. Iceland has a lot more nature that has been untouched. So the nature there is amazing, amazing, so beautiful. And Reykjavik is, it's Reykjavik. It's the place to see so many things. They have the shops, the restaurants, the views. It's perfect for romance. It's perfect for friends too, but the romance was nice. And this is one of the views from one of the restaurants that we dined in Reykjavik. And again, it's not a vegan restaurant, and it's actually a restaurant that is in a children's museum, and they just once again, one of the things that I do when I travel is that I tell people, well, we don't have vegan options on our menu, and I'm like, okay, well, do you have potatoes? In this case, Iceland, because they're known for their potatoes. Their potatoes are delicious. They have like 300 varietals. It's like crazy. Or is that chili? But anyway, they have a lot of varietals of different types of potatoes. So I would tell them, you have potatoes and you have veggies, right? And they're like, yes. I'm like, you have food. Just whatever you can spring up for me, just for us, just do it. And I'm sure we'll be happy with it. And we were. It was really, really delicious. Um, and then the lava tunnel is one of the biggest in Iceland. And it gets up to like 30 meters wide and 10 meters high. The lava tube ceiling has caved in near the entrance, which creates a beautiful columns of light. The fantastic range of colors of the tunnel wall is caused by the different minerals of the types of rocks. It's really, really fascinating. And we were blessed too with a beautiful rainbow. Like it was as soon as we got, because we you have to walk like 2 miles to get there. Like I I think it was even more. Like you station at like 2 or 3 miles, and then the guide gets you, and then you walk over there because you can't take your car there. So it was a chilly day, but let me tell you, by the time I got there, I was sweating. So it was nice, and just look at the beautiful like rocks and the views, and it's just really amazing, and it's only 30 minutes from Reykjavik. So Reykjavik is a very it's a main city in the island. So just can imagine, just 30 minutes away, you get to this natural beauty. And yeah, so it's definitely a must if you're in Iceland. Uh, we also found this pizza and brewery on our way back to Eric's family's house, and we just they was like the only thing opens at that time. Now it's still daylight, but you have to keep in mind that in Iceland, it doesn't get dark in the summer until very late. So even though it looks daylight here, it's actually kind of late. It's nighttime. Um, they make their own beer, so we tried it and we learned a little bit about beer. I'm not a beer drinker, but I'm always open to learning. The Icelandic horses are just amazing. Sorry, they're so beautiful. Horses from Iceland. Look at those. They're short too. They're not as tall as the American horses, but they're so amazing, so beautiful. They did let us get close. We didn't. I think Eric did get to touch them. I was just the one taking the photos. I do have photos with Eric touching them. Um, it's quite a view there, and of course, I cannot mention Blue Lagoon in Iceland. It's 15 minutes from Reykjavik, and it is beautiful hot springs. Um, the views around it is just amazing, and because the weather in Iceland is not hot, it's cool temperature. So when you get in those hot springs, you're like, oh my gosh, you're in La La Land. um, when I've been going with Eric to Iceland for me, I've been joining him for about 10 years, I think now. And when we first started going to Blue Lagoon, it was not well known, or Iceland didn't have that many tourists yet. And now it is a little bit more commercial, and certain things that we were able to do then, like put mud straight on our face from the ground for that facial, because the mud has great reputation on what can it do for your skin. Now because there's so many more people, they have to protect, their nature. They have it already in like these, just one little area where you can grab the mud from down and put it on your face or wherever you want. But just wanted to point that out. And yeah, it's definitely also a must visit, must experience, must see if you're in Iceland. And they have a spa as well, so make sure to check that out. By the time I finished with just enjoying the hot springs with the nature and putting all the mud in my face, I felt like I had the spa day treatment. So I didn't go for a spa make a spa appointment, but it is beautiful. I've seen it from afar, and actually, even though we didn't do the spa treatment, Eric did go into the cold water. So just like they have the hot springs, they have the like this little looks like a barrel, but a big barrel that you jump in and it's really, really cold water. I was not going to get in it no matter what. I'm sorry. So, but I just found it very interesting as well. But yeah, those are just some of the experiences. I mean, there's so much more in all the countries that I have spoken about, that I've shared with you, that there's so many more experiences that are just beautiful. But just, I guess my thing is always look, whenever you're going to travel, just go to Google and Google it and see, what you like most out of it. And then, or speak with your travel agents and let them know what you like most. I love wine. Eric loves cocktails. I love to dance, but Eric loves to go out more than I do and dance. So, but and we both love to eat out and have that whole experience. So just let your travel agent know, and but there's so many options for us out there, so much beauty, and if you love wines, all of these places besides Iceland have beautiful wines, and I hope you enjoy wherever you decide to visit. Thank you for joining us and have a great rest of 2022. Bye.